So, Oatly just hit a really huge milestone, their first quarter of profitable growth since their IPO. I mean, that's a massive deal. But, on their latest earnings call, the celebration was, well, it was pretty short. For the Wall Street analysts, the big question wasn't about the quarter they just had, it was all about what's coming next. All right, let's get into it. Right out of the gate, the Q&A session really zeroed in on one key thing, sustainability. It was like, okay, sure, one profitable quarter's great, but can you do it again? And maybe more importantly, how are you actually going to grow from here? The entire feel of the conversation just pivoted from celebrating this big win to really scrutinizing the long-term plan. And you could pretty much group all those questions into two big buckets. First, can Oatly take the magic that's working in Europe and make it happen in other places? And second, how are they going to make sure this newfound profitability isn't just a flash in the pan, especially with all the challenges they're facing in North America? So let's start where things are going, incredibly well, Europe. The analysts were clearly fascinated by the success over there. They really wanted to pick apart the strategy. What exactly is Oatly doing that's not just growing their own brand, but lifting the whole category with them? Well, it really all boils down to what they're calling their experience and taste strategy. And you gotta understand, this is a major shift in how they think. Oatly is totally reframing their own product. Their global president, Daniel Ordonez, he put it this way: it's not just an alternative to milk any longer, but an experience canvas for drinks. It's all about flavor, it's about creativity, and it's about getting a younger generation excited that wants way more than just a substitute. So how do you get people to actually try this new experience canvas? Well, they've built this absolutely brilliant flywheel. It's this self-reinforcing loop that starts in the one place they've always dominated, your local coffee shop. Okay, so here's how it works. Oatly has over 60 people they call barista market developers. Their whole job is to work with coffee shops to dream up new, exciting, totally Instagram-worthy drinks. Then people like us go in and try something amazing, like a matcha oat latte. The buzz builds, and then bam, Oatly takes that popular flavor and launches it in grocery stores for you to make at home. So the trial in the cafe is directly fueling sales on the supermarket shelf. It's genius. And the numbers, they show just how well this is working. You can literally see the flywheel in action right here. Food service, where all that trial begins, is up a massive 28%. And you can see that momentum spilling right over into retail, which is up a super strong 11%. The strategy is it's firing on all cylinders. So here's the really crucial point. This isn't just about Oatly selling more oat milk. They truly believe they're reigniting the entire category. They're pulling in new, younger consumers with flavor and excitement, creating what they are literally calling the second revolution in plant-based drinks. All right, now let's make that pivot. Because for all the amazing success in Europe, the conversation with analysts always snapped right back to the much, much tougher market, North America. Over here, the story is a whole lot more complicated. And that playbook, well, it's taking a lot longer to get going. Yeah, this slide really lays out the contrast that analysts were digging into. While the playbook is firing in Europe, management themselves will tell you the US is still in the early innings. Instead of driving category growth, they're busy navigating headwinds. It's a story of slow, step-by-step progress versus that explosive growth they're seeing across the pond. And this is the number that had everyone paying close attention, a reported revenue decline of over 10%. On the surface, that looks really bad, right? It looks like the business is going in completely the wrong direction, which is exactly why analysts were asking so many tough questions. But Oatly's management was ready with a different story. They basically argued that the headline number is pretty misleading. They said if you strip out a couple of specific one-time issues, like a big customer switching suppliers and them selling fewer frozen products, the underlying business is actually growing by 5%. So why are they so sure this European playbook is going to work here eventually? Well, in the Q&A, they laid out their whole case. They argue that the fundamental consumer trends are basically identical. Coffee culture is evolving the same way, young people everywhere are obsessed with flavor, and taste is the #1 thing holding people back in both markets. And here's the kicker. When they do blind taste tests, about half of consumers in both the US and Europe actually prefer Oatly to dairy milk. So they believe all the core ingredients for success are already here. Okay, so moving beyond the regional strategies, analysts also wanted to know if the company's newfound profitability was really built to last. How is Oatly actually changing to become a truly efficient and financially solid business for the long haul? I love this quote from the CEO, Jean-Christophe Flatten. He explained that all the cost saving and the focus on efficiency,
That's no longer just some temporary project to fix things. He says it's now baked right into their company culture. It's a permanent daily mindset. That signals a really fundamental shift in how they do business.
And you can see that new mindset is delivering some pretty real results. Their cash conversion cycle, which is just a fancy way of saying how quickly they can turn their inventory into actual cash, is now under 40 days. That's the best it's been since they went public. That's a huge indicator of a disciplined, well-oiled machine. So, with the business on much more solid financial ground, what should we all be watching for next? The final part of the Q&A was really all about the roadmap for growth, especially getting things moving in the US. And here's the timeline they laid out for everybody. In early 2026, they'll finally be past those one-time issues we talked about, which gives them a nice clean slate. At the same time, new products are going to start hitting shelves, and they're going to keep expanding into those big club stores like Costco. These are the key things they're pointing to for a real return to growth. This quote right here, it really just sums up management's entire message to Wall Street. Despite all the headaches and complexities of the US market, their confidence is not shaken one bit. They are completely convinced that profitable growth in America is going to happen. And that leaves us with the big billion-dollar question that was just hanging over the entire call. The Experience and Taste Playbook is a certified hit in Europe, no doubt about it. It's innovative, it's working, it's driving real growth. But the US market is a totally different beast. So the question that's still out there is, will the exact same recipe for success actually work here and finally win over America?